Yeah. It's interesting to talk about silence because, you have to experience it, as Brian said. And listening to you, Brian, this morning, I thought, and we didn't actually talk about, how to link the topics to each other, but I thought somehow synchronicity. So, because I'd like to just share a personal story about silence and transformation, because as you said, it's really about fundamental transformation that makes a difference in who we are and what we can give to ourselves, but also the people around. And Lasse called me a couple of weeks ago and he said, so would you like to do a little presentation? And I said, yeah, what? What shall I talk about? And he said, oh, whatever you want. And I thought, I don't want to talk about the usual stuff because I talk a lot about organizational transformation and management and leadership. And this is very close, still very dear to me, and I feel very comfortable. But to talk about silence is new. So this is really also stepping out of my comfort zone. And stepping out, I think, is always important for growth to happen, only if we step out. And this is exactly what we do also with organizations. We help them to step out of their comfort zone to make growth happen, to make transformation happen, whatsoever. So, yeah, I'm very happy that it's now. So after that, I'm more relaxed. But I wanted to share a personal experience I had this summer. And for many, many years, actually, I think for the past 25 years, I'm on this journey home to my true self. And intellectually, I got it, and I knew how important it is to kind of work out of your true self and the difference it makes if you really live your authentic self rather than the socially expected self and so on. I really knew it intellectually, but there is a difference if you really feel it and if you are like this. It's not just that you know it and you try your best, but that it's like you said, DNA, it's in every single cell, and this is it. And also something, and I'm sure you've used it before, is we are not human doings, we are human beings, and we are not human becomings, but we are human beings. And I was socialized in an environment where performance was very important. So the only recognition I got was by performing. And my parents really tried to give their best, but still, they had their own issues. So I tried to kind of get some recognition by performing well, which served me really well in many aspects of life. So I studied always beside my full-time job, and I did additional education and training beside my full-time job. So I was excellent in doing, and I drew my worth from doing. And I think it was probably when we had our SML in Morocco 7 years ago, when I thought, this is not how I want to see the next chapter in my life, always running and doing more and more. And by then I knew that I can achieve a lot if I want, but I thought, no, actually it's just enough if I'm here. My being is enough. And realizing that made also a huge difference in how I worked with clients. Because in the past, I was very engaged all the time, I was doing. And then I realized, no, sometimes it's enough if we're just in the room. And that already makes a difference. If you're there and just, hold the space for them and ensure, of course, if they need an intervention, we are there to support, but it's enough to hold the space. And so I'm on this spiritual journey for 25 years, I think. And this year, in summer, there was something that really made a change in my life. And I went to a 10-day silent retreat to Monte Sahaja, that's in Portugal. And Moji, who is a spiritual master, he has his ashram there. And actually, I didn't know him before. I just saw a couple of quotes from him on Facebook, and he got my attention. And I looked at a couple of YouTube videos and I thought, wow, it was like this. And I'm sure you know that, when it resonates with you and you have the feeling, this is it, and sometimes I get very touched and then I start crying because I have the feeling it's really like, this is my true self, this is my home, this is who I really are. And so it was, I think, the silent retreat started end of July, and I think only beginning of July I decided to go there. So I sent, because 10 days being silent, so 10 days. So I sent an email and I asked whether they have still a place available, and they said, no. I mean, this was sold out in 12 minutes, they told me. People from all over the world are going there, and it was sold out in 12 minutes. However, knowing me a little bit, if I want something, I can be very persistent. So I wrote back saying, oh yeah, I totally understand. However, I'm flexible, and if it happens that someone cancels, I'm happy to kind of come in. So 2 days later, I got an email saying, yeah, it happened that a person canceled, so now we have kind of a place available for you. And I thought, oh my goodness, do I really want to do that, So sometimes our courage is overtaking us, I think, it's maybe, the inner wisdom that knows it's good, but then, the ego or the mind jumps in, can I really do that? So I said, okay, Erika, let's do it. And whenever, and maybe you know that whenever I have this sense inside, I'm a bit scared, but at the same time, I know I have to go there. We talk sometimes about, so the C stage, the old is not working anymore, the new is not yet there. So I thought, okay, I have to do it. And so I went to this place to meet Mochi. And I don't know whether you've ever done something like that. There were 400 people from all over the world. And the goal was really to be silent for 10 days and just be with yourself and discover who you really are and who are you if you're not doing, and who are you really if you're not showing off, or whatever we sometimes unconsciously or consciously do. And what happened there was, so twice a day there were gatherings where we could ask Mochi about questions that came up during the process, and then this was it. The rest, we were not allowed to talk, not to read, not to have eye contact with which was for me the most difficult one, actually, because it's kind of being polite and not looking at each other. I mean, in Japan it's maybe impolite, but so we had only these 2 meetings a day, and the rest was just being with yourself. And what happened to me, and I was really surprised, because people before that told me, oh yeah, I left at the 3rd day because I couldn't stand it, and and so I thought, I was waiting actually for the crisis to come. Every day I thought, okay, now and now. But what happened was that I enjoyed it so much to be there just with myself, to digest the information I received during those gatherings, just with myself. And I was filling up, my inside by just giving myself space and attention. And I was very often sitting under an olive tree. And before I went there, I thought, I don't know about time, having an hour just with myself, I can't read, I can't write, I can't do anything, how will it be? But what happened was I was sitting under this olive tree almost every day, and I just digested what happened, and I was just happy. I was sitting there, I was happy because I connected to my inner wisdom, I connected to my source, to the love that's inside me. So I had the feeling I just connected to everything we are. Everything and nothing. this is what I discovered. Everything and nothing. Everything inside from which we can grow in every single minute if we're present. And nothing meaning everything can be possible. If there is emptiness, I'm open to see other things. And so I can't tell you, it was really, after those 10 days, I came back and I was somehow different. Because I had the feeling, I'm really here. I am here. And that I sense it and feel it in every cell. And that, yeah, sometimes if the ego is playing, and if thoughts are coming, and yes, and I can deal with it, but somehow I have the feeling I'm more grounded, more solid. And what happens very often, Lasse talked about it this morning, very often thoughts are coming up, and then we hang on to those thoughts and we identify with those thoughts, and then we actually create our own suffering. And a lot of people, and that happens also in organization, they tell the bad stories over and over and over again. And this is not really helping, creating something new, something else. But the same is true with ourselves. Sometimes, there's one thought and then I hold on for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. And I create my own suffering. And so what I learned also is to and I knew that before still. I knew it, but it's different if you really experience it. So there is the thought coming, you see it, hi, okay, and let it pass by. And also that we don't take our mind too seriously. Yes, it serves us a lot. But the more I think we get connected to our true self, the more the ego shows up and saying, I'm here, I want to control, I want to have power here. Not you, I want to have the power. And I think this is something where we just have to be aware that who is really talking to us? Is it our ego, our mind? Or is it really our true self? And what you said, Brian, I think it's really about giving a life. I mean, I knew that, but it's really different. And I noticed a change in my side a lot. I told you that I worked always a lot. But I started my own company 11 years ago, and I've been in contact with Oxford since 7 years. And when I started my own organization, I went through different phases. And at the beginning, I thought, I want to grow. I mean, I always said I'd like to have a small, fine consulting company. But I don't want to have many, many people in my organization. And then after a while, my ego thought, okay, now I've achieved that, so it's established now, how can I grow? How can I make it bigger? So I tried to bring in people who work under my label, and that worked also really well. So I achieved that. And since a year ago, I realized, I've already achieved so much in my life, for which I'm really grateful for, that I don't care about, honestly, to grow my business again more and more. I want to really work out of my true self, and I want to do only the things that I can truly relate to and I believe in, and usually, and usually if we're true to ourselves, that is really attractive to other people, because they feel the power of it. They sense that these people are authentic, they're true, they believe in what they're doing. And so I talked now a lot about silence, and we don't have enough time to step into that silence. But I think my wish for you is really to take more time for yourself, to tap into your source, your divine wisdom, your wholeness, whatever it is, to really discover that everything is already there, everything. And the moment we realize it, we are also much more relaxed. And I think we can serve the people around us much, much better if we serve out of that space. And the last quote, because I also love quotes. I was so happy to see quotes yesterday and this morning. So let's be happy together. Thank you very much.